Chapter 669. The old dragon was a good example on its own. How powerful was it really? Wilbur knew that he would not be able to figure that out in the near future, so he gave up trying. He had wanted to get himself a pill that was even more powerful than the scorching pill to improve his physique, seeing as his powers had grown further. This meant that his body was at the risk of imploding at any given moment, and improving his physique was the safest route to take. However, the second consciousness was far too tempting, and he could not say no to it. The second consciousness also happened to cost exactly 1,100 grace points, leaving him with a bit of leftover. Wilbur let out a pained chuckle, confirming his choice. The hourglass turned over, and there were not many grace points left after. There was, however, a new addition in Wilbur's soul. He now had two consciousnesses. One was his original consciousness, filled with all his memories and thoughts. The second consciousness was akin to a top-grade supercomputer, able to work at full speed anytime he wanted. He immediately tried operating the new second consciousness, trying to analyze the mysterious information in his soul. The second consciousness received his order and got to work at once. His soul or overall being did not feel the slightest bit of discomfort, nor was there any trace of the headache from before. However, the analysis was going to take some time. Wilbur knew that deciphering this information was no small feat, and even his supercomputer of a new brain would not be able to figure them out right away. After successfully controlling his second consciousness, Wilbur detached himself from it to let it work on its own. All he had to do was check in and absorb whatever information the second consciousness had yielded from time to time, and that would be enough. Wilbur let out a long breath, exiting his demoplane. He returned to his room and got to meditating at once. There were so many new things he had yet to process, and he was eager to sort through them so that he would understand them better. Besides, there was the lunch appointment he had with Shelby the next afternoon. The next morning, a few cars pulled up in front of Cape Consortium building. They were all Mercedes-Benz, with one of them being a luxurious stretch limousine. The line of cars stopped, and a few dozen muscular men in their 30s sporting short hair and black suits emerged to expertly control the cars along the allocated passageway. More men in black suits entered the Cape Consortium building, controlling all the pads and standing guard by the elevators. A man and woman finally came out of the car, making their way over to the entrance of the building. The man looked to be in his 30s, clad in a tailored suit. He had a handsome face that showed a haughty expression. The woman was not too tall, wearing a white dress with flowers on it. She looked demure and gentle, with bright eyes and a heart-shaped face. Even though Cape's representatives had been waiting for them since ages ago, they could not help but be startled at the intensity of their entrance. The couple turned down the representative's offer to bring them up, entering the elevator in the company of a man in a suit with a scar on his forehead. Faye was seated in her office then, looking at the door silently. She was supposed to be meeting a very important person today. They were from North Seacher and were there to discuss a big business project with her. These people were definitely highly powerful, and Orrin Campbell had welcomed them personally. Just then, Faye's secretary pushed the door open, and a man and woman walked in slowly. Faye got up with a smile. "Hello, Mr. Yesley and Miss Senka." The man named Mr. Yesley glanced at Faye's hand, then sat down on the couch before saying, "I'll get to the point. Miss Senka will be getting a stake in Cape. Just half the shares will do." "What did you just say?" Faye asked, shocked. The man frowned. "I'm not going to repeat myself. Do as I say or die. It's your choice." Chapter 670. Faye withdrew her outstretched hand, sitting down slowly as she glanced at Yumi Senka, the girl sitting next to the man. "You must be joking, Mr. Yesley. Cape Consortium is self-funded, and we do not need any shareholders." The man chuckled, taking off his sunglasses. "It was an order, not a suggestion, let alone a discussion. Do you understand? I don't think you understand that Cape isn't a small company, nor is it the kind you can get a stake in just because you want it." Faye's expression was starting to turn cold as well. Demanding a stake in Cape and asking for half the shares in one breath. What did this man think Cape was made of? Cape Consortium had up to $1 billion in cash flow. It was a large-scale investment group that was a far cry from the kind of company that required investors and shareholders to acquire capital. Just then, the man slowly said, "I don't think you know who I am yet." "Mr. Campbell mentioned you're from North Seacher, and you're very powerful," Faye responded calmly. "However, that doesn't mean you can just take half of Cape's shares just like that." "Huh." The man smiled. "Well, I guess he wasn't wrong about that much. Let me tell you now. I'm the son of Jensen Yesley." Faye's chest lurched. Jensen Yesley, the vice chairman of the National Development and Reform Commission. It was important to note that this department was akin to a State Department on its own, and all of its files were considered to be top secret. The vice chairman was definitely a terrifying existence, capable of determining if an area was going to thrive or fail, let alone a company. If Baron Yesley really was his son, Cape really could not hold its own in comparison. However, Faye had been with Cape long enough to see everything it had gone through and knew that this company had been strong enough to get through many hard times. With the addition of support from someone like Wilbur, there was little that Faye had to fear. "I must admit your identity surprised me, Mr. Yesley, but I still don't think that Cape needs a shareholder," said Faye firmly. Baron's expression darkened. "Well, Cape is going to cease to exist in Dasha real soon. You're going to receive a formal letter in no time. Doing this would cause a terrible loss to Seacher Town, which includes Cardin Province," Faye said, bringing up Oren inadvertently. Cape's yearly taxes were a huge source of income for the Department of Finance in Cardin Province. On top of that, Cape had saved many other companies from the brink of failure, creating countless career opportunities for others. Faye was certain that Oren would never allow Cape to be wiped out just like that. Yet Baron merely laughed out loud. "Cardin Province's losses are none of my business, and you can forget about trying to threaten me with Oren Campbell's name. We have nothing to do with each other, but I won't go easy on him if he insists on going against me." Faye's expression darkened at that. According to their positions of power, Oren's status was just as powerful as Jensen Yesley's. It was just that the National Development and Reform Commission was a terrifying department. On top of that, the department was located in Seacher Town. This gave them the privilege of reaching the higher-ups first if they were to want to send a message. Either way, Oren could not afford to butt heads with Jensen. It was clear that the fate of Cape Consortium was out of Oren's hands.